Welcome back everyone for a fresh episode of Planet Nomads. Today we're going to do some new design building. Some stuff I found on the workshop recently and a while ago that I have been interested in checking out and have been slowly stockpiling supplies for. The first one is a relatively new design at the time from Yimrick. And this is a sun tracking solar plant. I did play with this a little bit. And it's kind of interesting in the way it's set up mechanically. And I really don't need it here because of what I've already got in place, but I'm going to build one anyway. Now, when you first try to place it, it is going to be inverted. So you're gonna have to do a little switch around on it. And you'll see it's got these 4 posts. Now, I have played with it using those as simply just struts to hold it up higher, but that really is meant for you to be able to bury it in the ground to a certain degree and have it level and not have part of it covered up or just sticking out oddly. But it's also meant to be a little bit higher, obviously. And the description says better in higher latitudes, not equatorial, not polar. I'm kind of in between on that. So what I'm going to do, I can zoom out a bit, and wow, that's not letting me do much in terms of changing the placement, really. I want to build it here, kind of on top of this, and have it just kind of sitting here. You see it's giving me a clearance thing because of that. Because of that thing right there. So as long as I get it to line up, oh, it's not even going to fit right. Okay, let's just try this in the ground somewhere. Alright, so here we go. We have the plant. Unfortunately, I did get it turned the right way. So you have a single point on the side that connects to everything else. I kind of feel like maybe the design could be improved a little bit if it had like a central connection in the middle and then it connected to 4 switches, 1 on each corner, so it doesn't matter which side you place it on. And right now it's not tracking. It only works once it gets above the horizon a certain level, so we're going to have to wait for the next day to come around, which should be, you know, coming from that direction, going across, and it's already in place, so it should work for that. And basically all this has is there's a, you know, mechanism there to rotate around, and we have these hover pads that are being used to kind of push and wiggle it around. Now, the other designs I want to build today are really not something I need. They're not going to be that beneficial to me in terms of how I play, but I want to try them out a bit in survival. I've played with them a little bit in creative, and basically it's the compact miner carrier. And this is the fixed version, the newest one from Tang. And you see it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things compared to some of his other designs. So it basically is a big mobile base. It has production capabilities. But the big thing about it is that it carries 4 of these. 4 of the flying compact miners. Now this is also the newest version, fits for some of the changes with one of the recent updates. And these will connect in as the storage point mainly for that design, and they are of course a flying compact miner, meaning that you set them down, let them do some mining. So here we are, start of a new rainy day. Of course you know it's raining, and this is the large flying miner carrier. You see how big it is, how many air blades it has. It's really just one long connected piece with air blades, and we got our generators in the back and the radar in the back, and we can go in this way along with, we have, you know, 2 decorative AC units. You really don't need 2 there, but you can have them. We got, of course, a replicator. We got stasis, you know, 2 sides, basically built for like 2 people to pilot, which is fine. We also have storage right here, which connects between everything inside, and it is all in French. So hopefully if you do not speak French, like I do not, you rely on some translation service like Google. But as you can see, for some of the form to work, it's done in a way where we're using or relying more on the conveyor connectors to allow things to connect because of angling for certain things on how they fit, which is perfectly fine and actually very useful in allowing you to do some different things with the way everything lines up. Gives a better gives more options for the creators to do it that way. So it's nice to see it's being handled like that. We have 2 doors at the back, more glass, and of course we have production. So we've got our fab machine, 2 medium fab machines here, 2 more here. So you got plenty of food and drink production, as well as the medium greenhouse. Then we have medium refineries. We have 3D printer. So you do have 4 3D printers. Honestly, if you don't think you're going to use that much in the food and drink machine, swap it out. That way you have stuff for doing a little bit more with the water purification. And the one thing we're missing, of course, the autonomous water purifier. So you will have to, of course, run through and do your own water purification. We do have control switches up front, like air blades, main power, and lights. This is a repeater, I think is what it is. Basically, everything else is named like repeater, repartier, and I'm assuming it's just links to all the main production. Now underneath we do have some extra little hover paths that you can see right here, and I'm not sure if they're actually for anything other than maybe just helping with momentum, not so much like keeping it hovering or being able to hover at a lower cost. And the repartiture, I guess is the way to say it. And then nicely right here we do have some connectors. So we have conveyor connectors allowing you to go and tie it in. We also have some compact 3D printers on the outside, so you know you can always dock it, tie it into your main production system, but more importantly you can also do some quick 3D printing from outside without having to go inside the vessel to do so if you really need to. So the second part is the compact miner, which is entirely solar power. And when I tested this in creative mode, no problems because you have infinite power in creative mode. But in this case, I spawned it in and it did not have enough power from solar to keep the air blades going. And when it landed upside down, it doesn't get the power from the air blade or from the solar. So I had to hook it into the power of that, and then it just still was upside down, would not do anything. So yeah, this is not working out quite so well now in normal survival mode. The good news is at least this seems to be turning now. The problem though is, where is it? There's the sun. And it honestly, to me, if I was aiming this, I would not aim it that way. I would aim it more that direction because that's where the sun actually is. So this doesn't seem to be actually turning directly towards the sun quite like it should. I mean, honestly, this is a trick to try and implement that sort of thing because we do not have that mechanic built into the game, but it just does not seem to be working all that great. All right, I'm back. I have restored from backup. So good reason why you always should make backups when stuff like that's not quite working right, so you can easily restore back to where you were. So I'm going to skip the little sun tracking solar thing for now. Maybe Yamrik will do an update after he sees this and tweak it. It may just be something we cannot get proper tracking with until they add that real mechanic in. But I'm going to redo the compact miner carrier and wait until the following morning when it's fully sunny, not even raining, before I try to do the compact miners. So I've got 2 of the compact flying miners built, basically by putting them as low as possible to the platform and of course moving this out of the way first, which meant when the power runs out, as you see right there, it still has some power for a few seconds. As it drops in level this time, and then cuts off. And because it's already dropping super low, it has no room to fall, so it cuts off effectively. And you can see where most of the solar panels are along this side. That was upside down for me before. So we have a lot of solar panels kind of built off of the storage container there, along with some batteries. Now this is not going to fly all day. It's really meant more to drop it off and let it sit there and charge. We have power control here for mining, and then up front we have right here main power, and I think this is, yeah, air blade. So green is main the power, the black is air blades. Have some more batteries there and solar panels, more along there, but it's basically built around an angled storage container. And just like the other design, everything kind of comes to a point here where it makes use of conveyor connectors to connect the mining rig into this, so the mining rig can fill up the storage container, and then when you dock it onto the big carrier vessel, these then connect in to conveyor connectors on it. And as soon as it gets nice and bright daytime where these can charge up a bit, I will start docking them in. So I'm finding the easy way to line this up is to start with the mining rig itself and try to use it to get into the groove. And then once you've got that, all you have to worry about is locking it like that. And there's actually the little part below that section, the ledge, that will help kind of slide things in if you're too high. But actually, you know what I'm doing is I'm just turning off the main power in each one and leaving it going. So we got all four, and the ones that are at least getting some sun from that should be charging up their batteries now, which they do have a hefty amount of batteries on them, which is nice. 7%, 11%, 5%, 9%. So let's take them for a spin and see how this thing performs. So if I'm going to test this, why not test it in an equatorial region where, of course, I'm going to have a lot of heat, so I need to be able to see how well things are handled in keeping me cool. Okay, I still have 8 hours of power from this. I put 50 in on each side, and so far I've only used 3 on each. So yeah, it's not that bad in terms of power. It'd be nice if it had at least one uranium generator, and you could probably swap it out without too much fuss to have at least one generator run off uranium in case you wanted to be able to alternate based on what you find going out. So in a single player standpoint, what you're going to do is you just basically get in, and at some point it's going to, well, at least it's trying to move forward. I did have this happen once with creative where I basically had to hold down the spacebar for a really long time for it to ever act like it was lifting off. So you'd be like, all right, I'm jumping in one of these. I'm going to deploy it down here. I don't know where to gather resources, so I'm just going to land. And when I land, you notice I'm not getting any temperature drop here. So there is no temperature protection in it. So this is really not meant for you to stay out and around for a long time, which works in terms of single player. But what I would like to see is kind of like the theme of it being for a group of people going out and mining or exploring, you know, true nomadic operation. Somebody flies down with this, starts searching the area, trying to find a spot to harvest from, and then when they find it, oh no. What the? So apparently taking that one off just unbalanced all of it and flipped it not one time, it flipped it where it went all the way back correct, and then it flipped again. So it's a really nice idea, but I'm just saying, you know, outside of creative, it seems to have some bugginess. But again, theme wise, it'd be kind of cool to have this sort of functionality in the game where you say, oh yeah, I am part of this team. Let me turn the air blades back on. And so I'm going to be part of this team. I deployed down here. The ship, the rest of the crew has left me. They've gone on. I am here to explore. Oh, I found this little harvesting spot, so I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to plop it down like that. I'm going to then go ahead and say, hey, turn off the air blade, turn on the mining. And of course, keeping the main power going. And now let's see how the power is doing. 7%. Am I draining? No, I'm actually increasing. Still increasing, not super fast, but it is increasing. See, 21 minutes to full. And I'm in. But I cannot flip it. We do not have something in the game like we should where we can say, you know, throttle one side, try to flip it over. You know, rebalance it. It's just now stuck until I guess if I try to land it the right way, like, oh, let me go Oh, of course. It's inverted, so I'm telling it to go forward and it's going backwards. So if I get it to line up along the ridge, maybe I can make it rotate back over. But yeah, that's a problem. I mean, all I did was take that one out and it flipped completely over, dropped all the ones on it, and then flipped back upright and then continued with the momentum it built up from that, flipped again and ended up upside down a second time. Okay, it's not letting me flip over, so I feel like I'm about to make a really big mistake. But let's do just main power. And it's just perfectly comfortable right there. Oh, wait, no, it's sliding. I'm not sure why it's sliding that way. Wow, yeah, all right, so, yo, great design, great idea, and I just broke it. Tang, I am sorry, I broke-it your toy. So yes, great design, overall, great idea of functionality. It's got a really cool theme to it. I mean, single player, you go in, you drop one of those off, you leave it mining, you fly back up with your jetpack, keep going next one. So you could go into an area and be like, okay, let's radar scan this area. All right, let's go find 1, 2, 3, 4, drop these off, or do it in a long line like, hey, I'm going polar expedition. So along the way, you drop 4 of these off, or 3 of them off, then drop off 1 at the pole, get the supplies you need, and then pick them up one at a time on the way back to your base, where you could tie it into your production chain with those 2 underside conveyor connectors, or use it as a complete, you know, self-contained mobile base, for the most part with, you know, just the fabrication and food production, things like that, and use it to travel the world. That was my hope for this, was to travel the world with it, but it is not working out. I just completely broke it just by trying to get it to fit going upright. And yeah, good thing, again, make a backup of your save. Either save a extra copy in the game, or use some backup utility to back up your game saves, or just make a copy of the game save file or save folder elsewhere on your drive, so if something like this happens, you can revert back. So now I'm back at my base, reloaded from my backup save, and no problematic, you know, designs causing physics issues now. So again, some cool designs. The solar tracker kind of tracks backwards, actually. It's kind of facing away from where the sun really was in terms of what should be optimal. So, you know, a great idea from Yimrick, just, you know, is limited by what we have in terms of the game programming, the game mechanics to work with, but great idea, and it definitely had an interesting approach to how to make that work. And in terms of the miner carrier and the miners, great idea, really nice design. Tang has always done really great on the combination of form and function. It's just problems with the physics in the game, the collision between objects causing that weird behavior. And as you saw, when I just tried to flip the carrier after it got flipped upside down, it broke part of it off and then continued to just break more and more pieces of it as it slid down that side. It's just problems with the physics in the game itself. Nothing really to do with the design. But if you want to check the designs out, I suggest try them out in creative mode first, and then play with them in survival in your game, but make a backup first, like I said to do. And if you want to check them out, of course, I'm going to have links below in the description. Make it easy for you to find them. And if you like them, be sure to give thumbs up for the creators on the workshop pages for the designs. But that is going to be it for this episode of Planet Nomads. So if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment below, and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Spicy. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to keep it spicy this week, and I will see you in the next video.